Okay, there we go. Welcome to part 6, I believe, correct? Yeah, this is part 6. Today we'll be dealing with the Holy Castle Attack arc. This is kind of it. Just the Holy Attack leads into Composer of Man. These two arcs, chapter 53 through 68, kind of are really just one arc split into two halves. It's split into two parts. There's a turning point at the start of the Composer of Arcman, chapter 62, but so 61 ends on a cliffhanger. Just a heads up, this video will end on a cliffhanger, and then you'll have to jump to the next part if you want to find out how everything set up in this arc ends. That's just how this arc is. I don't know. Let us get into it. Okay, I should go over any changes that happened to the board. I did, since all the characters down here are from last part, they don't really all show up. I moved Tainov as well from here to there because she doesn't show up in this arc, and I thought put her on the board of minor recurring characters. But I did take off Reiko, Izuzu, and Kieran. These three, they're best friends, and they're part of the main crew for Reiko. So since Reiko, I've also put Reiko over Kaido's card. I didn't take Kaido's card down before, but I've replaced it with Reiko's card just on top of it. I left Shu up just because technically she's got the power of Shu. Anything else I made a change with? I don't believe any other change happened. Removed Tainov. Nothing big else happened. Says that we are jumping back in. We're in the land of Piacio. That is where we are. Let's jump into this arc. Let's go through it. We're actually going to start 15 years ago from where we're happening. Takes place 5 years before the Jewel War ends. The Jewel War has been raging on for years. Akatsushimiya and Heptaria both taken heavy losses. And the war was supposed to be a turning point where Heptaria takes an absolute victory. So it is a surprise to the country that they did not take a full invasion. Right now in this war, we're getting to a part where they're invading the capital of Akatsushimiya into the Demon Brand Castle. This is before they move to the Demon Brand home. They're in the castle. This castle will become ruins and is where the Banished are living right now. Besides for Heptaria, the goals of this war, besides the goal of just slaughtering the Demon Brand, they also like to rescue Nermosa. Nermosa, by this point, has already been captured. So that is a part of this mission, invading the castle. They want to find where Nermosa is. She's valuable. Troops led by Divine General Genta arrive at the gates of the castle, and they start to pour into it. They've already killed... They've already killed 5, so there are 5 members alive. Of those 5, there's still Lord Jiro's father is still alive at this point. This is right before. It's about 5 minutes before Lord Jiro's father dies. So we know what this chapter is about. Genta is attacked by 3 of the remaining 5 Demon Brand members. Heptarian troops are overconfident or unprepared for the strength of the remaining Demon Brand. Among those 3 is Karna. Karna comes out and she attacks Genta. And Genta sends Sasina off. Sasina is still on his side at this point, and he sends her off while he goes and fights Karna. So Sasina is on a mission to go find where Nermosa is. Karna smiles as she during their fight, she meets a dagger with her face and uses it with her eyeball to hit the end of a dagger, pushing it into Genta. This dagger goes into Genta's neck. The blade makes contact and goes through Genta's neck. He's not able to use his divine luck to dodge this attack. This is how Karna loses her eye, is with the amount of force she puts into that hit. Genta has to hold his neck, and he chuckles and he's freaked out a little because this is the first time he's been hurt during this war. This would be the third injury he ever occurred. This takes place after he's already been hurt by the God Hand William has hit him once, and Alka's body, Kenya, has hit him once. These two have injured him. This is his 3rd injury, the final injury before he fights Alka again in present day when defending Mavis. So this is where that attack came from, that moment where Karna is able to land a hit on him. He's actually bleeding out pretty bad, but his luck is helping protect him. The wound seems to be almost healing magically. And he actually retreats from Karna, decides he's going to fight another again. The card's not on the table. Meanwhile, Sasina is rushing around this castle. She's never been to this castle. She's looking, and she hears the sounds of stuff coming from the top of a flight of stairs onto the roof. She comes into the roof and finds an older-looking man who looks to be in his 40s, and he has a black beard, and he is just sitting on the ground, and beside him is a younger boy. She recognizes the older man. It's the king of Akazushimiya. This is Jiro's father. That young boy is Jiro. Jiro notices her and motions her to come over. Jiro is friendly with her, and Sasina, a little confused, decides to sit down next to him. Because Sasina is aware there's nothing she can really do right now besides suck people into the divine palace. So right now, she can't do anything. They sit for a moment in silence before Sasina has to ask a question. She asks, "What is your father doing?" And I mean, the kingdom is under attack. Doesn't your father understand? As a king, isn't it kind of rude that he's not out there defending his people? And Jiro explains that actually he is defending his people right now. They're about to release a huge attack. And Sasina's like, "Hey, I'm a holy knight. I can't just let you release a huge attack. You've revealed that to me. I gotta stop it." And Jiro's like, "Could you not? It would make me really happy." And he makes a cute smile. It's noted that Sasina finds this smile really cute. And her heart flutters a little. And she thinks it's really stupid that a cute boy can have powers over her like this. But she is feeling something that she usually doesn't feel with other people. Just by looks. Jiro, apparently pretty attractive looking. Next, Sasina decides to sit next to him. Again, she doesn't really feel like she could do anything. All she can really do is wait for Gento to show up and murder this dude. As they sit down, they're just enjoying themselves. He says thank you to her for not doing anything. She doesn't know why hearing Jiro say her name makes her heart feel this way. It is really annoying. She knows she cannot fall in love with the enemy. This is stupid, but he's got such a gorgeous face, and when she looks at his face, she feels like there's a sadness hidden underneath the smile. And she just wants to kiss him and make it all go away. She's giving in to a lot of crazy ideas. Maybe it's the tension of the battle. This is a big moment in the war. This should be the turning point for Heptera to conquer them. But she can't help it. She kind of feels like she'd like to kiss this boy. Maybe she can take him home as a war prisoner. Ooh. And, they both look on as they decide they're going to get on. Jiro's father gets up, and bright beings made of smoke begin to appear. Lord Jiro's father has just activated the divine, not the divine, his demon brand. The parade is beginning. The familiar parade is beginning. And the two of them begin to hurt as two marks appear on, sorry, that has not happened yet. I'm getting ahead of myself. It's noted they're like guitarists and they're drummers, and there's a rock sound to this parade. Notable that in the future, Jiro's parade will not have a rock sound, his father's did, so it seems to be your personal taste in music affects the music the parade plays. So whatever song they're playing would be a top seller this day if it was recorded. They all seem happy, and the remaining demon brand retreat to watch this parade. They flee to a safe place, leaving only their king behind. And it's just Jiro and Sasina. And things are getting bright, and Jiro's father says, "Get out of here, Jiro." And so Jiro is pulled into the Divine Dimensional Palace by Sasina. And the two of them are watching from a distance there. He's safe there. While they're there, Jiro begins to pull his shirt off, and Sasina turns away with a blush. And she's like, "What are you doing?" Jiro's like, not fazed by it, and it's just like, "Take off your shirt." And Sasina is like bright red. She's like, "Oh my gosh, we can't. We've only just met. I don't even know if I like you. I mean, you're cute and stuff, but I don't know. Are we moving too fast?" And Jiro's like, No. There's a mark on your back. Look." And he shows off his mark. And it's the mark of the parade. It is a mark given to people who have seen the parade. In the future, when Sasina reveals herself to the other members, she'll show off this mark, showing that she did see Lord Jiro's father and his attack. So, Sasina, get a grip, girl. He wasn't trying to do anything naughty with you. She was reading into it. Reluctantly, she reveals she does have a mark. Sasina asks what's going to happen to Jiro's father, and Jiro explains that his father's going to die, and she makes him promise that he'll never use that ability. And Jiro says he cannot promise that because there might be a day where he needs it. And Sasina says, right here and there, Jiro gets on her knees. She's like, "Jiro, I pledge my allegiance to you forever. Just if I'll stay by your side, and I'm going to force you to make sure you never use that demon brand." And he's like, "Well, I can't stop you, but you're a divine. That doesn't make sense." And she goes, "Well, deep down, I do good things, and I want to follow my heart. You know, what the heart wants is good. What I want is you. So I'll be a demon brand. And Jiro laughs and is like, look, there's only 10 demon brands, so you can't be a member. And she goes, well, I'm the 11th member. And this is how Jiro will eventually refer to her as their secret 11th member. Turns out Susanoo is the one who invented that silly name. Jiro goes in for a kiss, and Susanoo is elated and meets his lips with hers. And after a long kiss, they smile. And they say after all that, after the craziness of this war, the two of them fighting, different things, not each other, just different things, they decide they're going to spend the night in the Dimensional Palace. And Jiro does mention that he's kind of worried about the other Demon Brand members. They're probably going to think he's dead, but they'll find out tomorrow. She says that, Susanoo explains that she actually would like to make their new home, the Demon Brand home, inside her palace. This is a thing she can do for them. And Jiro says, dang, well, I guess I'm home then. And with a big smile, she's like, oh, welcome home, honey. You're home. This is your new home now. And they spend the rest of the night just hanging out with each other in each other's company. In the morning, the Demon Brand will scold Jiro for making them think he's dead. They lost so many people, they didn't need Jiro to think. Back to present day. Reiko is climbing off the ground. She's in the wooded area outside of a small wall. They've just escaped from the bone spear where they used to escape an airship. Suddenly, before Izumi and Kieran can even fully get out of the spear, guards surround them, and they're like, who are you and what is your purpose? It's looking like a fight, and all of them throw their hands up in the air, and they say that they didn't mean to trespass on this country's land because they're in the holy land of Piacio. These are holy guards, but explain that they got lost and they were attacked by someone, and they're from Genopus. From Renois. And the guards immediately are like, oh, that's cool. Renois actually isn't involved in this war between the two of us, and so you are fully cool to be here. It's not illegal. And so they leave. And the girls are like, great, I guess we're going into town. And they want to enjoy themselves in the Holy Land, but they don't have any money. So, Izumi has this idea where she's like, look, these people have probably never seen the Nine Beings' abilities. So if we go to an open area, we can maybe, street vendor-wise, like, peddle tricks by doing tricks. So, using Shu's ability, Reiko flies around the sky and does little aerial tricks. And a small crowd arrives. And Izumi tries to hype them more up. And is like, this is just one of the many things that the Nine Beings can grant the great people of Renois. I keep mixing them up. Renois. And the crowd goes silent. And some begin to walk away. Izumi looks confused as the crowd doesn't want to make eye contact with her. And an old lady cries out, have you no shame? Get your friend down. Get him out of the air. Before something bad happens. And then another person yells, like, this is the holy land of Piacio. This is not a place for your nine whatchamacallits. These lower beings, and the word lower being sets Kieran off. Kieran is like, lower beings, huh? Your Piacio ain't all that. How dare you insult our nine beings? And this gets a fight with the crowd. The crowd is like, watch your tongue, little lady. Piacio is a divine messenger from God himself. Your nine beings or whatever are just small beings underneath God. And guards begin to head towards where all these people are gathering and the fighting. And the guards tell the girls they have to be taken away. You have to come down for questioning. And they don't fight them. And the guards are actually pretty nice. And the guards are like understanding that these girls are just culture shock. They were unaware that what they did is not something you should do. And so the guards say, hey, look, we can let you go free. You just have to let us do some paperwork, then you can go. So they're going to have to spend a little time at this guard station. How good that will be for them in a moment. Outside the wall, in a secret bunker, still, Cordova and Sarki are hanging out, and they're counting down. Right now, their counter is at 1 minute, 23 seconds, and they're watching this goes 22, 21, 20. Sarki still wants to leave the bunker, where Delica says that once the chaos is underway, then maybe they can go. But right now, it's really safe to stay here. They don't know how the Fosses are going to react to anyone, and they're just as, in danger of the Foss. They eat donuts to cheer Sarki up, and they watch as the timer hits 0. They both run to their little slit where they're listening through their bunker to listen, and they hear the sounds of shrieks and screams. But Sarki's disappointed because it doesn't sound like people are being attacked. And Cordova explains that these are actually just Foss dolls coming back to life who were not taken care of. Who would have thought that children with dolls of a queen, children don't treat dolls the greatest. Some of these Fosses are coming back to life and are no longer dolls, and they're missing body parts. So they're screaming in pain because they're in pieces. Maybe someone crushed a doll up and used it in an art piece. Well, those pieces came back to life and turned into a human girl, same age as when Foss died at around 11, 12, and so these girls are screaming in terror. But don't worry, the fun is just beginning, because the Fosses that are in One Piece are beginning to come back to life, and they are attacking people. There's a sudden increase of screams as the Foss dolls attack. Back inside the wall, Reiko, Kirin, and Izuo hear loud screams from outside the waiting room they're in, and an alarm begins to go off, saying, "Residents, please make your way to a safe location. If you don't know the nearest safe location, just head to a church of Piacio. They're safe." And the guard building's probably safe, so they decide they're going to stay there for now. And they stay put. But outside, things are not going well, because the country is under attack by the enemy, and the enemy is the inside, and it is Foss. Homes, not just inside the Holy Land Piacio, are under attack right now. Because over the last couple of years, the Foss doll, the My Princess Foss dolls, have become very popular to children all around all of the lands. And so, golly gee, people are being attacked by Foss all over the place. And, I mean, children's bedrooms, storage areas are suddenly housing these dangerous creatures, the Foss dolls, that are now come back as just the Foss. The Foss are currently trying to hunt down all that is evil. They're able to sense evilness, or what they see as evil, and what they see as evil is according to what Saraki put in their head. So Saraki told them what was evil, and they're searching it out. And wish cards are one of them. Other things are doing mean things to children, and we'll get to that. It's noted that a lot of people who live at Piacio aren't soldiers. They're just random people, but they're just as guilty because they let their country, when it was Heptaria, attack Akatsushimiya and harm their children. They rounded up the men of Akatsushimiya during the Jewel War, and they slaughtered them. And they're guilty of that, at the very least. And so, if Foss judges them worthy of a painful death, that's what they're going to get. People begin to run to the holy churches or other safe spots, but the problem is the Foss can detect large clumps of evil and are attracted to the largest amount of evil. So when all these people are gathered in one place, it's a feeding ground, and Foss begin to converge on that one spot. Once surrounded, the Foss just kind of surround people, overpower them in numbers, and just kind of rip them apart. The people just keep thinking if they can get to the church, a holy place, these evil things won't be able to get in. But the church is also guarded by holy knights, and sadly, it's like moths to a flame, because each of those churches has wish cards, and every wish card is like it's a flame that the moths, known as Foss, are coming for. The first wave of bloodshed is over in only 5 minutes. At this point, another alarm sounds saying, "Residents, make your way to a safe location. If you don't know the nearest location, make your way to a church of Piacio." In that time, a few people have gone ahead and locked themselves in random places, and it's very unfortunate that of the people who hide inside their homes, some are killed off by Foss. The second wave begins as this is when because this is when the Holy Knights launch out, and they begin going to the streets and just slaughtering Foss. The Foss are not like strong, they're just like little 12-year-old girls, but they're able to use weapons, and it is notable that when the Foss are able to power fewer numbers of Holy Knights, they're able to steal their weapons, and they can use the wish cards that the Knights were carrying, because Foss was Heptarian. In fact, she has pure Heptarian blood because she is of their royal family. No one has pure blood than the royal family, so therefore, of course, these wish cards work for them. So she's wielding a lot of wish cards now as the Foss kind of mindlessly go. They're not as intelligent. That's the thing, though. The Foss are not super intelligent. They're not hive mind, but they are in like a dreamlike state where they're hunting down evil. The more knights they slaughter, the stronger they get. But at this point, Genta is hunting them down, and not a single Foss can scratch Genta. Genta is having the time of his life just slaughtering them. Except he's getting bored really quickly, because the Foss go from an exciting new thing to a really boring zombie horde. Once the Foss had killed most of the civilians, they head towards the next biggest source of evil. And what's the biggest light in the whole world for evil? It is William. William is like the greatest flame of evil in the eyes of the Foss. So the Foss are swarming towards the Holy Castle in the capital. All are marching. Even the ones that we know as Akatsushimiya and Genopus, they're all heading towards it. They're heading towards it, so they're making their way towards the evil aura of the god hand William. it's noted in Genopus, they've modified their dolls. The dolls that are still in Genopus, as a technological beings, they are into modifying themselves. Of course, they're modifying their children's toy. So the children's toys, who were modified with like cool robot parts, have now turned into Foss with robot parts. Why would Akazushimiya send us evil things like this? Why are they attacking us? We're partners. So this is gonna ruin relations between Akazushimiya and Genopus, who previously have had this kind of like partnership for science. So that's really sad. Far off in Renois. Here's a fun little thing. Off in Renois, a little bit of the characters we last saw. Edward and Cal, the little evil slave traders, are, counting their bucks. They're living it off. But inside, they return back to the temple at home to start another batch. No girls have showed up yet. But inside the storage house, a little girl named Jade had left a little something she was passionate about. She left a Foss doll behind. They said to pack only the most important things. Jade didn't pack her Foss doll. Jade, if you remember, is a big fan of the legend of Queen Foss. So she has a lot of Foss merch. So there's one Foss inside this building. And the sound of Foss wandering around the halls alerts Cal and Edward. And Cal sends Edward. And Edward goes out and finds a child just wandering the streets. And in the eyes of Foss, Edward and Cal were guilty of the sin of child trafficking. And, if you'll remember, Saraki was sold as a child. So, part of her programming to the Foss ranks child trafficking and doing things to children as one of the most evil things you can do. So this Foss is really angry at Edward. And the Foss begins to hit him with a bat. It found a bat and it is hitting him over and over and over. And Edward pleads for his life, but it just keeps hitting him in the face. He's not getting anywhere. It busts his nose, it hits the front of his teeth, knocking teeth out. Edward tries to get up to his legs, but his legs won't work. And Cal hears the screams of him dying. And she grabs her rifle, and she keeps her rifle in the office and comes down, and she finds the doll, this blood-covered little girl with a bat over Edward. Well, what's left of Edward. Edward isn't mostly there. He's pretty mushy. So she points her old rifle and freaking shoots her. And Foss kind of just drops and turns to dust. And she goes over to Edward and is like, frick man, that was a good partner. But she can feel the lightness of him breathing. So she scoops up what's left of Edward and is like, look, when it comes to the slave trade, it's really convenient to have a partner, especially someone like Edward who's a lackey and it has a point of power. People trust Edward because he's a priest of freaking the nine beings. So he's got a power. So she scoops him up and decides she's going to put him in a new vessel so that he can continue to do his work. She's Genopus, so they're going to put him in a robot body. And she's left wondering as she works, what the heck was that? Back to the Holy Castle, back to the raid. Foss continues to raid. Many that were attacked by Foss in the beginning were off guard, especially those inside the castle. Those inside the castle, despite it being 10 years, still remember the face of their queen, and are freaked out that there are a bunch of their versions of their queen. It's like an evil demon thing from Akazushimiyans. The Akazushimiyans are using the face of their beloved queen to harm them. It's noted that the Fosses cry when they're in the castle, as if memories of being here are coming back to them, but something is blocking them from being able to truly know what's going on. So, to some point, the Foss understand that they're hurting the people who they used to care about. Back with Terra. Terra's with Sasina, and they're in disbelief of what's going on. Terra's like, what do you think we should do, Sasina? And Sasina's like, she doesn't really care. It is the fault of the Holy Land of Piacio, who was Heptaria. It's their fault that Jiro had to die, so she really doesn't care. They had a perfect thing going, her and Jiro, and this country ruined it. And Terra's like, hey, your relationship was secret. They didn't know it. And she was like, it had to be, except Terra would have killed her and ruined the relationship if it wasn't. So, for all she cares, she wishes that the Holy Land of Piacio will just burn to death. Burn them all. And Sasina then says, hey, look, what you should care about is who's behind it. And I know it's Cordova and Saraki. The Banished did it. Sasina makes a point that she thinks the school, they have the Demon Brand school they've been working on. In these last couple of years, Sasina feels they're ready. They should just kill Cordova and Saraki and steal their brands and give them to their students. And Terra's into it. And Terra's like, you should come with us. And Sasina says, no. and Sasina returns to the emptiness of her dimensional palace. And Terra's left with the pretty big, intense feeling that she has to deal with Cordova and Sarki. They're a big deal. But Terra heads off into the Holy Capital, thanks to Sasina's gateway, and is freaked out to see so many Foss. What the frick were they up to? Meanwhile, William, the God Hand, is in his throne room, and he's sitting on his throne, and he's like, dang, it seems like Genta is not going to be enough to deal with this. I might as well remind my people how great my power is. So William's actually going to do something. William opens his door, and as he's leaving, he tells his attendants, release Alka. Alka, the artificial witch card. He's going to be released. Alka had been put to sleep since the last incident and hasn't done anything, but he was fixed. Genta messed him up pretty bad, but he's fixed with some spare parts. So Alka's ready to be released, and William walks off down the halls of his castle. He's out of his throne room pretty confidently, and he begins to unbutton his shirt. He unbuttons his collared shirt, loosens his tie, and pulls a small box that's on a chain around his neck, and goes, "Oh, how long has it been, my friend?" He raises a wish card that's inside that little box around his neck and activates it, and all the Foss around the area see the activated wish card and begin running at him. He activates wish card. What wish card is this? It is wish card 200. Piacio, the wish giver. Behind William appears Piacio, the large oversized slot machine that gives people wish cards. He goes, "Ho, ho, ho. William, good to see you. Right now it's been a bad time to ask, but by any chance could I persuade you to release me?" And William's like, "Fat chance, I will never release you." And Piacio goes, "Ah, it sucks, but I mean, oh well." So Piacio not really happy William's the one who has his wish card, but oh well. This is crazy. Piacio just says, "Release," and the Foss begin to fall to the ground and disappear to dust. More Foss begin jumping at him, but every time Piacio just says, "Release." His eyes glare past William, and he says that, "I'll make sure that you die one of these days, William, and that's a promise. But for now, I cannot let them touch you, because you're still the one who holds my wish card." Foss continue to spring, just leaping at William, and they keep disappearing. All wish cards must obey Piacio. All creations must obey their creator. This is the law of the universe. So since the Foss are made with a wish card, the God Hand can undo it, because they are a piece of Saraki's wish card, Demon Brand. Her Demon Brand is what created all the Foss, so since it's an ability of a wish card, Piacio just has to tell them to release, and they release. That is how powerful Piacio is. He's pretty big. Inside the Demon Brand home, the meeting hall has gone off, and it's a signal from Lord Terra to gather everyone. Toji, Riki, and most of the economies walk down the hall. Karna and Akane 5, Shoin, and then Jamako, Akane 5's pet, Yoshida there, and Anne is there. Anne is there as well with the red dog. Yeah. And then Venus and Hesper are not in the castle right now. They were with Cordelica and Saraki on their week off. They had their week to hang out with the Banished, so they're not here. Cordelica and Cordelica and Saraki had began a big scale attack on the Holy Land Piacio, and their plan is so complex that Terra doesn't fully get what's going on. It's as if they're just doing things for fun. They forced her hand, and she cannot let them run free any longer. So the plan is they're just going to kill Cordelica and Saraki and steal their Demon Brands. The hardest part to stomach is the fact that Venus and Hesper might be out there, and they might be on the side of Cordelica and Saraki. They're unaware. Maybe Cordelica and Saraki have killed Venus and Hesper. Maybe they're willingly helping them. But there's a chance they have to kill Hesper and Venus, and that'll be really sad. But they cannot let Venus's Demon Brand fall into the wrong hands. And Jamako, he speaks up. He's not part of the Demon Brand. He really shouldn't be talking, but he's a student at the school. So he's like, "Hey, why do we need to keep Nermosa? Why do we still have her locked up in the basement? She literally doesn't pose any threat, combat-wise." And Terra says, "You know what, you have a good point. We've had her here since the big war. It's been a long time, and we will release him. We'll release Nermosa the second William is dead." This is part of Terra's notes from Jiro. Jiro, one of the things he left Terra was the fact of why they kept Nermosa. Nermosa is kept locked up. What the secret of why they need her is they do not want Nermosa to be able to revive William. They want William out of this world. Because if his soul is reincarnated, he is the biggest threat to their country. He's the one behind the Jewel War. So they'll release Nermosa eventually, just not now. They begin to pass through an open void as they begin to invade the castle. Again, Terra's like, Cecina, will you please come with us? And they have a big talk about how Cecina should come and see the end of the church. Like, this is it. You were once a divine, you once served them. You should probably see the end of it. But she says, Terra, there's nothing out there for me. I'm not going out there. And Cecina falls to the ground and says that literally she cannot leave the palace right now. She cannot go to a world without him. Right now, she can still feel him inside the walls of this place. But if she leaves, she's worried what will happen. As Terra leaves, and Cecina whispers to herself, oh Jiro, how many of her kids won't come back? I'm sorry I couldn't protect them, but I just can't. And she returns to the depths of wherever she hides inside the Dimensional Palace. Back to Ryo, Kirin, and Izui are still in that waiting room of that guard place. Kirin leaves to investigate after the guards disappeared, and she finds a bloody, dead body corpse of the warriors. And she's like, guys, we gotta get out of here. And they begin to run out of the station down the roads. They note there's not a lot of people in this country. Where do they all go? They hear someone talking, and Reiko leads them right to that voice. So like, hopefully we'll find help. They leap over some shrubs, and they come out on a road with a line of trees, and who's there? But right in front of them is Kaneo 5, Jamaku, Ann, and Yoshida. The four of them are just there looking for Cordelica's group, and suddenly everyone's looking at each other. It's like, what? Huh? Who are they? Suddenly, bones shoot out of Reiko, and Kaido whispers to her in her head, we gotta go. We gotta go, run in the opposite direction, these guys are bad news. And Reiko just yells together, hey, Kaido says they're bad news, run, trust me. So as they're running, they hear the bones that had appeared, that made like, kind of like a fence wall, be broken. And someone calls out, no way, Kaido, long time no see. And Reiko wants to stop and find out what's going on, but Kaido is like, just keep running. And Kaido says, Reiko grills him. She's like, what's going on? Who are they? And Kaido's like, hey, I can get a good look, but I'm pretty sure that was my sister and an old friend of mine. They're pretty sure, I mean, they probably know it was me. They saw the bones. And she's kind of crazy. It's like, you know, her garden spirit has a sister. She's like, yeah, your sister? Don't you want her to know you're alive? Kaido's like, don't worry, she knows I'm alive. She just saw me. Plus, I don't really care that sister knows I'm alive. And Reiko's like, that sister? How many sisters do you have? And Kaido's like, it's complicated. And then Kirin and Izumu, who are still running behind Reiko, are like, could you please explain and talk out loud? Don't keep us out of the loop. Again, Reiko and Kaido are pretty used to just talking to each other. So they explain that, yeah, that was Kaido's sister. And the two of them yell back, hi Kaido's sister. And then Kaneo 5 behind them goes, hi, my name's Kaneo 5, just call me 5. And they go, hey, it's super nice to meet you, 05. Please stop chasing us. And Akane teases back, I can't do that. If you have Kaido, I'd really like to talk to him, so give me back my baby brother. And so they continue to run. Everyone keeps running, and they make a note that Reiko doesn't have enough spiritual energy to summon Shu to be able to fly away. So they just keep running. And Kirin says we should fight him, and I'll fight him, you guys go on. But Izumu and Reiko say no. Suddenly, Izumu falls to the ground, and she goes limp, and Akane 05 behind him goes limp. Obviously, Mindscape has been activated. They scoop up Izui and they keep running. Toshi, Riki, and the Akanes are currently at the Holy Castle. They've entered, and due to the doors being wide open from the Foss attack, they begin to run into the castle, heading towards William's throne room, when an Akane stops and sees something. She walks down a hall, making the other Akanes follow after her down the hall. Toshi and Riki keep going, not noticing she's gone. And it's a no number who is the one who noticed something in this dark hallway. And she takes a step forward, and it's Akane 6 behind her who reaches out to touch her and see what she sees, and sees that a figure is in the shadows and is stabbed with the no number. The no number falls to the ground and is definitely dead. So another no number is dead, keeping the no number count is now down to 1. There's only one true Akane left, if they're right about the number system, which they made up, so you never know. So they're pretty frustrated. The Akanes are all tense up, and it's Alka who did it. And Alka runs away, and all the Akanes run after. So they've separated Toshi, Riki, and the Akanes. So now it's just Toshi and Riki on their own. They're alone, and they continue their search, and they're looking for where this throne room could be. And they open a door and they find some dusty furniture, and it's sitting on a pile of dead Foss is, it's Genta. That sucks, you know? Who would you want to run into? Genta. Genta looks bored, and he's twirling his hair when he sees them. I was like, Toshi, I thought I'd see you. Still playing house with a boy? Huh, lovely. Go get Karna. Get lost. Go get Karna. Unless you want to die. I could kill you now, but go get Karna. I want to fight someone cool. Red dogs begin to shoot towards Genta. Ricky ain't messing around. They shoot towards Genta, but they miss. And they just keep missing despite how close they're getting. But more red dogs are piling on. Sheer numbers, they're being able to land a couple hits. They're keeping Genta at bay. They're not doing any damage, but they're keeping it at bay. Then a small void opens behind Toshi's fist, and so Toshi punches through a void and it opens up near Genta, and it actually makes contact and uppercuts Genta in the chin. And Genta laughs and says that was a pretty decent attack, but I'm turning my ability up to 50%. So whatever percent he was at was below 50%, so he's barely got his luck turned on. Hits stop landing with the luck up. Toshi at least understands Genta's ability based on the events of the Jewel War, but Ricky does not understand the effects, and he actually grabs a knife and charges at Genta, and they get into a knife fight, and Ricky keeps losing his knives, but the red dogs keep bringing more knives, and he eventually has two, and he's dual wielding, and knives just keep launching from red dogs, but they just keep missing Genta. He's so lucky. Ricky found himself without any means of defense as the dogs are falling left and right, and he trips over a red dog somehow, stepping backwards, catching himself. This is all Genta needs to land an attack. Genta's blade flies at Ricky's neck. As Ricky's falling backwards after tripping a red dog, really bad luck, he plunges his knife in, and everything moves in slow motion to Ricky, as Ricky accepts that he's about to die. He has no ability to summon a red dog in time, and so he looks over to where Toshi's standing with a horrified look and goes, "Toshi, I screwed up. I love you. Live on for me." And Toshi reaches out. He's towards him. He's trying. He's like, "Yeah, Ricky's accepted his fate, but please, 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 please don't die." The blade is coming right at his neck. It's about to pierce into him. Ricky closes his eyes and accepts his fate. But when he opens his eyes slowly, he's alive. He looks around, and there's not a scratch on him. He's puzzled until he sees Genta is on the other side of the room. How do you get over there? And next to Genta is a kneeling down Toshi. Toshi switched their positions and switched them out. He took the hit in Ricky's place. Genta has a blank expression. He looks at Toshi's and said, "That was really heroic, something a hero would do, but it was really stupid." And Ricky starts screaming. He's like, "Toshi, why?" And Genta kicks Toshi across the room and just sends him flying into Ricky. So now Ricky and him are up against the wall. And he's like, "Toshi, please stay with me. Toshi, I still need you." And he tries to rip off the part of Toshi's shirt where he got stabbed. And the blood is just pouring out. And Toshi says, "I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it. Ricky, save yourself and know that saving you is worth trading my life." And he's like, how could you die? I can't beat Genta without you. You're the one who needs to live. I'm the one who should have died. And I can't win without you. You've basically abandoned our country, Lord Terra, our dreams. Toshi, get back up. We have a future together, but I can't have a future without you. And Toshi looks at him as blood keeps pouring out of him and says, I don't think we could have. Toshi, Ricky's like, "What? What do you mean?" And he's getting closer and tighter as he looks deep into Toshi's eyes. And Toshi says, I could never be with you, for real." And Ricky's face goes cold. And he says, "What have we been doing for 12 years then?" And Toshi with a little smile goes, "Just passing time." And Ricky begins to tear. Tears are dropping down his face. And he starts to run out the door. He gets up and he just starts running. He's run out that room. His heart is broken. And Toshi whispers, "Good boy." 11 years ago, there's a context to this. 11 years ago, Toshi and Ricky are hanging out in a room watching a movie. And Ricky is talking about a movie you watch where a monster can read the hero's mind. It's a Power Rangers movie, basically. And the Rangers come up with a secret way to communicate with each other with code words. And Ricky, being a young boy, just was like, "Let's make code words, Toshi." And Toshi's like, yeah. And he says, they come up with one, and a couple of them he says, it's time to catch a flight. And that's when it's time to open a void and they escape. Or he says, "A man's really want to the dogs." And when they do that, he'll release a huge wave. And Toshi's like, yeah, fine. And Ricky's like, "You gotta make one up." And so Toshi says, "Okay, fine. When I say just a way to pass the time, you have to trust me and run away, okay?" It's a goof, it's a joke. But he did say that line. and Ricky is heartbroken. He's not crying because Toshi hurt his feelings. He's crying because how stupid Toshi is. Why does Toshi remember something from 11 years ago? Why does he remember something stupid? It's because Toshi cherishes every moment with you, Ricky. That's why. And Genta is charging after Ricky. He's chasing after him. He's hoping to finish them both off. But Toshi, with the remaining amount of his life, makes a storm of voids. And they all at once shoot from all directions onto Genta. Genta tries to stop quickly and avoid them. Genta looks at him and is like annoyed. He's like, what? So you switch with a kid for a strategy? So I drop my guard? As he activates his divine luck and turns it to even the luckiest man could not avoid every attack at once. The void sliced through his shoulders, taking the whole arm off with him. Another void hits his waist and slices his lower half off. And Genta falls to the ground with a hard thump. His luck still burning strong enough that he doesn't die. The voids had someone sealed the arteries. Just by complete luck, every place that slit off of him, these open wounds are closing. The luck is strong with Genta right now. He's bleeding out slowly, but he's gonna maybe survive this. Toshi watches him as he hits the ground, and a smile creeps onto Toshi's mind, and he thinks to himself, I did it. Because, everyone, you are avenged. Toshi did it. For everyone who died during the Jewel War at the hands of Genta, including Toshi's master, are finally avenged. They can finally rest in peace. But there's one thing left on Toshi's mind, and it's Ricky. And he's sorry. He tries to roll over and face himself towards the door where Ricky ran, but he can't even move. And he thinks to himself that I love you, Ricky, and I'm sorry. Down the hall, Ricky is still running with tears flowing through his eyes, thinking about how stupid it is that Toshi remembers something from 11 years. And he promises himself he's going to avenge Toshi. But as Ricky runs down the hall, he thinks about how he needs to find one of the Akanes or Karna or someone who can fight Genta. Because he's unaware that Genta's dying on the ground. And as he's running, he spins around the corner of the hallway, he's smiling, he's got hope, his heart stops as suddenly the ground gives out. Just his luck. No, his luck. The ground underneath Ricky's feet collapses in as they fall into a cave that is underneath the palace, deep into the basement where they used to, where Morana and Karna would have encountered Alka in the Fall of Hypteria arc, I believe is when that happened. So yeah, he falls in rubble, falling all around him. He closes his eyes tight as he fell and hit the ground, and he began to count until finally being hit and on the ground. So Ricky is dead, and Toshi is dead. 2 Daemon Brand have just died. Genta, there's a big question mark there. We do not know yet if Genta is dead. He might be dead. Ricky and Toshi might have killed him. Genta's luck is still dictated the entire castle. His luck will not let him lose ever. At 100% luck, Genta cannot lose. So therefore, it made sure that Ricky would die, so it would be a tie in the fight. On the other side of the castle, Alka is fighting the Akanes, and he's actually already killed 2 Akanes. The remaining 2 Akanes look at each other. That is Akane 06 and the final no number. And they're the only ones left, and they're still fighting Alka. That's all we would get on that fight for the second. Outside the castle, Akane 05 was engaged in combat with Reiko and her friends. They're still chasing her for the fun of it. The 2 Akanes underestimated Alka, but luckily I was wrong. We get back to the fight. I don't know why I jumped. I guess it's the start of another chapter. Okay, so the Akanes, Akane 06 and the no number are surely going to die to Alka, when suddenly at this very moment is when Ricky is falling through the ground, and Alka also stumbles into the ground as this crater opens up in the castle, and Alka falls to who knows where. And they really hope he's dead, but it isn't confirmed he's dead, so Alka might be out there. They continue to hope that Toshi or Ricky or Karna or Terra has found William by now and has killed him, but they haven't. Unknown to anyone, the only person who's made it to William is Terra. Terra now stands before William. The 2 leaders of 2 countries have met at last. Reiko and Kieran are running down the roads as they continue to chase. There's more distance between them and them being chased. And Kaido, Reiko asks Kaido, what's wrong with Izumi? Why is he asleep? And Kaido doesn't know, because it kind of seems like a divine ability he knows, but that divine ability belongs to a boy named Trafa, so it can't be it. He does not know that Trafa is dead yet. They continue running, and Kieran has an idea. They break through the window of the house, and they run up the stairs of the house, and they hide in a bedroom. They were able to get out of sight from Akane 05's team, and because of that, the Akane team is looking for him. But again, Akane is still in her mindscape along with Izuzu. And then they settle down in the night, and they're going to take turns watching Izuzu and watching the window. Oh yeah, and also, Kaido confirms that it is the mindscape when they point out that there's a boy in the back of the group, of Akane's group, carrying Akane. It's gotta be mindscape. Kaido now knows Trap is dead. That sucks. They weren't really friends, but like, it sucks still. Anyways, they rest, they take turns, who gets to be awake and who's watching over Izuzu. Inside the mindscape, we now get into a pretty crazy adventure in the mindscape. While making the slideshow, I kind of left a lot of lines in. It's kind of a cool moment. I'm trying to speed through it because, you know, I'm trying to make it so if you want to go and read, you can read more of the character developments. This is more about plot, but this is a pretty important scene, so I'll leave it as this. So, in the mindscape, Izuzu wakes up in a bed and gets out of his bedroom and walks down a flight of stairs and heads into a kitchen. Standing in the kitchen is Reiko. She has an apron on and is making pancakes. And she says, "Good morning, darling." And Izuzu feels strange and feels a sense of unease, but at the same time, he feels good. He doesn't know why. He takes a bite of a pancake and it's delicious. And he's like, "This is really good, Reiko. I'm surprised you're so good at these. When did you learn to make pancakes?" And she says, "Oh, darling, I couldn't call myself your wife if I wasn't good at making pancakes. Also, I've made you these pancakes plenty since we started living together." Izuzu's like, "Huh? Lived here?" He looks around the kitchen and sees there's pictures of the two of them on their wedding day and with family, and there's ones like from their childhood. And he's like, "Reiko, confirm to me, how long have we lived here?" And she's like, "About 4 years. I'd say 4 or 5 because we got married 4 years ago." And Izuzu's like, "Huh? I'm married to the girl of my dreams." Izui helps with cleaning the dishes, and when he does, Reiko suddenly wraps her hands around him, and he feels really warm. And Reiko whispers into his ear, "I love you, Izui. I hope we can spend the rest of our lives just like this." And then pulls away and looks at him and goes, "You feel the same way, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." He doesn't want to say no to this adorable face, but at the same time, it's everything he's ever wanted to hear. But something feels wrong. It's kind of weird. But he says, "Of course, I wish every day could be like this day." And Reiko smiles and says, "Well, it can be." And suddenly she runs over to the phone and she makes a call, calls someone, and says, "Hey, it's Reiko, could you come over right away?" And Izui's confused. And she just says, "Don't worry, in a few minutes we'll be together forever." And then the doorbell rings, and a woman with green hair named Akane walks through, Akane 05. And Akane 05 is going to do something for him. And they sit down in the parlor. And she's like, "Izui, meet Akane. She has a wonderful opportunity to share with us." Akane's like, "Great to meet you. I've heard all about your husband, Izui. Well, Izui, do you love Reiko?" And Izui says, "Well, of course, more than anything else in the world." And she says, "Well, do you want to spend every day with him?" With her. And Izui says, "Yeah, sure, I suppose. We grew up together, and she's the first girl I ever felt close to." And she says, "Great. Izui, you have a house, the love of your life, an abundance of happiness. Would you say you're living the dream?" And Izui says, "Yeah, I guess I am living the dream." And Akane says, I can make this dream life of yours never end. Would you like that for the two of you?" Reiko immediately cheers, "Of course, yes please." And so Akane turns to Izui. She's like, "Do you want to spend your whole life like this?" And Izui freezes up. He wants to say yes. He has everything he's ever wanted, but something doesn't feel right, and he's confused how he got here, because he could have sworn they were just being chased. And he says, "Well, this might sound silly, Reiko, you remember that time we were in the capital, and we were being chased, and something happened when we were running? We were running from Kaido's sister. I just can't remember what happened next." And Reiko's like, who's Kaido? And Izui's like, your guardian spirit. And she's like, "Well, why are you bringing up another man?" And he's like, "Huh?" She's like, "Yeah, you're the only man in my heart. Forget about whoever Kaido is." And he's like, "Reiko, he existed. He was your greatest strength." And she goes, "No, you're my greatest strength, Izui." And she's shouting and she's standing up. And Izui, you need to stop talking about the past and think about our future together. Our future we're together for all eternity. And Izui's like, "I want that more than anything else in the world, but something's off about you, Reiko." And she begins to just scream. Reiko begins to scream at the top of her lungs, and she does not stop as she drops to her knees and curls up. And Akane runs to her side and says, "Are you okay, Miss Reiko?" And Izui tries to get down and comfort her, but Akane glares at him and says, "Why can't you just say yes and you'll spend the rest of your life for your beautiful wife? Would you rather spend the rest of your eternity with this Kaido person?" And as Reiko lays on the ground, bones begin to pull out of her as a giant skeleton appears around her and picks Reiko up and is pulling her away. And it feels like the distance between Reiko and Izui is distancing, as if she can never reach him. And Izui screams, "Get away from my wife, you monster!" And the evil Kaido says, "I thought you didn't want her. She's mine now." And the whole room is getting darker as the distance just keeps growing. And he says, "Kaido, give me back my wife!" And Kaido's bones shake as he laughs at him and says, "You don't really love her, Izui. You let another man get so close to her after all. Oh, poor Izui. Can't you see I'm closer to Reiko? Closer you could ever be." And he turns to Akane and he says, "Please, make this stop." And Akane smiles and says, "Of course. I can let the two of you spend the rest of your lives together. Just say yes. Just say that's what you want." And Kaido continues prodding. He goes, "I've made it so far, so much farther than you ever can with her. Have you ever seen her without clothes? I've seen Reiko naked. I've seen every inch of Reiko." Because, I mean, he's through her eyes. But, of course, Kaido would never say it. But because this is Izui's nightmare, the Kaido of his mind is saying these things. And he's begging to Akane. He's like, "Please, please make this stop. If I accept your terms and make a deal with you, I can live with Reiko forever?" And she goes, "Yes, you'll never face any trouble with the cruel world. A perfect dream forever." And Izui goes, "Aha! But it isn't real, is it? Who are you?" And Kaido grows larger, and Reiko's screams for him to save her get louder. But Akane frowns, and she says, "What is the point in that type of question? What does it matter who I am? Do you want to be happy?" And he says, "But that won't make my happiness might not make Reiko happy. And that's what I really want. I really want Reiko to be happy, not me. So I need to go back to the real world and ask Reiko right away what she wants." And Akane frowns, and the entire room disappears, and Kaido and Reiko freeze like you paused a movie. And they're like, are you sure about this kid? I mean, and Akane now appears in a scarlet knit sweater. She like gets more comfortable. It's like, "You're seriously giving up your perfect happiness?" And he goes, "Yeah, now release me." And she goes, "Dang, that's really too bad, and I don't really see a point in fighting you inside the mindscape anymore if you're not going to take this dream life. I really tried." And Izui feels kind of disappointed with Akane's reaction. He was kind of hoping they would fight, but he's ready to go back to the real Reiko. But again, Akane, just make sure you're sure you want to leave, and you don't want to spend the rest of your life with Reiko, who loves you with your time being. Outside of here, Reiko might not actually love you. I'm just showing you what you want. And Izui says, "You know what? I'll take that chance. Maybe I'll get rejected a couple times, but I'll tell Reiko how much I love her every day of my life." This is really where we get into more like Izui actually has feelings for Reiko. Izui returns to the real world. Reiko shook her head and sees that he's awake and is like, "Hey, we should get some sleep. You haven't slept really properly." Izui feels like he's been asleep for a while, so he doesn't need sleep. So he'll stay awake and watch while Reiko sleeps. And Reiko yawns as she climbs into bed next to Kirin. And Izui, he reaches his hand out and he brushes her hair and he says, "Sleep tight, I love you," but really quietly so Reiko can't hear it. And then he saw it. Over the horizon, there's the shape of someone headed towards their direction. So he uses his ability as new. He activates it and he sees that someone is coming towards them. And it is Akane 05. She's found them somehow. And so he wakes everyone up and he's like, "We gotta go. They found us." And so everyone jumps out the window and they start running again. Back to the Holy Castle. William and Piacio have slaughtered Foss after Foss, and they've grown bored. And Alka has disappeared into the abyss under the castle, unsure if he's alive or not. Genta, bleeding out on the ground. Might be dead, might be alive, we don't know yet. So many battles over this castle have happened. Meanwhile, Karna is... This is like Karna's appearance in this arc. She appears, and she's walking through a hall of the castle, spinning blades around her as a defense layer. A tiny noise alerts her, and she shoots blades towards the closet, but they're deflected by something. And someone steps out saying, "Good to see you, Karna." And Karna looks, and it is Cordelica stepping out of a closet. And he laughs and says, "That's a pretty cool entrance, right? Like, I came out of a closet. I'm the boogeyman." But guess what? First she says that they're here to claim Piacio back for Akazushimiya and to get out of his way. And Karna says they don't need him. And he's like, "Oh, your trainees are ready? That sucks. But can't say I'm thrilled with that news. But before you shoot me, I've got something to show you." And he begins to move puppet strings. And something comes out of the closet. And what is it? It is Karna's former partner, Morana. His corpse, minus an arm, because his arm was ripped off when he sent his arm to find Karna when Sarki ate her. And he says, like, "Look, I'm really sorry, but there's no heart in this. Sarki ate a lot of his organs, so they're missing, but the puppet is complete. the rest of him. And, ooh, this gets Karna mad. And she's like, Cordelica? Look me in the eyes, look me in the eyes. Look me in the eyes, look me in the eyes. Did you dig up my partner and dig up his corpse? And Cordelica's like, yeah, I did. And she's like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. You should not have done that. And all of a sudden, through the ground, a giant paper blade emerges and slices the Marana puppet in two. And says, your puppet is weak, you know? Like, you thought just because Marana, I wouldn't fight back? And the room continues to shake as another giant blade appears through the ground. And this is not something Karna should be able to do. And so Cordelica's rightfully confused. He's like, how two giant blades this size? There's a limit to how many and how big you can make them. I know your brain just as good as mine. You shouldn't be able to do that. And Karna sneers at him and says, there is a limit. Yeah, 15 small blades is the limit I can make at once. Nowhere in my blade, in my brand, does it say how many I can make and how big I can make them, minus 15. Those 15 can be as big as I want. You're just limited by your small mind. I've trained hard over the years, and I've pushed past my limit. And she gives this whole speech, but it will be noted that it is noted that she has a jewel from the Jewel War. And it boosts your abilities. That is, she's on drugs, basically. Karna has taken Jewel. She has used a Jewel crystal to boost her ability past its natural limit. We never really talked about what Jewel does to you. It is never really clear if there are long-term effects of using a Jewel, but it does boost your abilities, and Karna is using one. She's got one, and it is letting her push her abilities to the max, past what even training can do. She says her wish card does not define her, she defines it, so she's writing the rules. And Marana tries to puppet the top half of Marana that isn't broken, and the paper blades just break into pieces out of that one big blade. The big blade breaks into small ones and slices it up into pieces. And Cordelica now understands that underneath the ground are a bunch of paper blades, and he's confused. If she walked into this room with the intention that she'd already placed this under the room, how would she know Cordelica is going to be there? If she's making them right now, how long does it take to make one? Does she make them in a second? Does it have, what's the prep time is? And how is she getting them under the floor? Cordelica is so confused how Karna's doing this. There's more fighting, and we don't really go into it. The floor crumbles apart as a paper blade begins to shoot towards Cordelica. Cordelica barely shields himself with puppet strings, and blades cut him up. About 4 of the 13 blades that hit him are able to hit him, and 2 of them hit his legs really bad, and just barely miss vital organs as they come up against his leg. He's bleeding out, but he's able to use puppet strings really quickly, to sew himself back up. And he begins to run. He's darting around, his eyes are darting around, looking for Karna. Karna has disappeared, and he's scared, and he knows the only way he's winning this is if he flees, so he begins to run. Without thinking about it, he just starts running as fast as he can, but he's having trouble walking because of his 2 injured legs. As he gets away, he can hear Karna screaming after him, "You call yourself a war hero? Get back here." And Cordelica's like, yeah, I guess a war hero would have been honorable, but I've never bragged about being a war hero. That's more your thing, Karna. I just was in the war. Elsewhere in the castle, Terra. We're back to Terra is in the throne room, looking up on William on his throne. And he goes, "Hey, you're Terra, I presume. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance." She's like, "Oh, William, I was hoping to run into you. Finding you will make it easier for fate." I'm sorry, will be fate. It's fate that I found it. William says that he thinks once he kills her, the spirit of the other demon brand will break and it'll be an easy win. But he says that it's kind of confusing that she's come here and released all these Foss dolls. And he just pointed out that he doesn't think Terra's behind it. She's too young and too inexperienced to come up with a plan like this. And she says, yes, you're right with that assumption. Actually, 2 of my underlings did this behind my back. I'm embarrassed as a leader to say that happened. And William's kind of cool. He's like, yeah, it happens. I was unaware that Sasina betrayed me. So clearly, that's just something that happens when you're a leader, is sometimes people who are under you betray you or do things without your doing. We can't hold a leader to know everything. And Terra's like, yeah, I guess, whatever. Then she declares that, William, you need to return Piacio back to our people. And he says, I don't know what you're talking about. Where she says that her people are well aware that William killed the Wisher who created the wishes. Terra accused him. She says, he killed the Wisher and he stole Piacio from my homeland, Akazushimiya, and that once they kill him, they'll be able to take it back to their home country. And he says, well, if you're aware that I killed the Wisher, confirming he did do it, and an evil smile creeps on his face, then I recommend you remember how strong the Wisher was, and that you should not try to fight an opponent so much stronger than you. He says, then he tempts her and says, I hope you're ready to give up your life for the parade, because that's your one shot at killing me. Tara looks at him and says, I think I know someone who's looking to have a round 2 with you. And he doesn't get it. She then grasps her hands and makes some hand signs as she finishes the preparations of something she was doing before she entered the room. And she screams, Heavenly Family Parade, special summon of the parade, main float, the Wisher. Tara drops to her knees as she feels years of her life drained from her body as she gives the price to bring just a single person of that parade. It's a high cost. She grins and says, don't you know, William, Heavenly Family Parade doesn't only summon the parade. At the cost of the user's life, they can summon a single Heavenly Soul along with every other wish card. That's who it was, the Wisher. So the Wisher appears, and he's huge, and he's a dude. He was Akatsuki Man. Sorry, Tara also reveals he was Akatsuki Man. He founded their country. William's like, yeah, whatever. Piaggio can cancel it out. And he says, Piaggio, stop the card effect. And Piaggio says, look, actually, there's only one card I can't stop. Yeah, it's Family Parade. Family Parade was created to be a counter to Piaggio, so that in the event someone ever killed the Wisher was sneaky like that, he made a card that could stand against him. So Piaggio apologizes, he can't stop that effect. And William's like, you can't or you won't. And Piaggio doesn't really care. It's not an effect that he can cancel. William looks furious and brings out a holy sword as he begins to fight the Wisher. And reminds Tara, I killed him once, I can kill him again. The clouds on the floor disappear, and a man with long black hair, baggy pants, and a patchwork jacket appear. And he has stretched arms to the side, and he looks human, unlike any of the cloud soldiers she's seen during the parade. He notices Tara, and he turns around and says, sup. It seems like you called me in your darkest hour. He leans forward and grabs her hand to give it a kiss. Have no fear. Oh, I should get out the card. Have no fear. Kaido, the Wisher, is here. And I'll put him here. Kaido is the name of the Wisher. We finally have a name for the name. The Wisher. He turns to William and says, dang, you're still kicking, William? And Tara's like, look, you're the Wisher, right? And Kai laughs and he's like, that's funny, I am indeed that man. I'm indeed the man that came from this barren land, from the land across the sea. The same man that met God and was given the chance to make 200 wishes. The one and only man who wished to share his wishes with the whole world. I am the Wisher. And I'm going to pause this, because I always felt like readers didn't see how cool of a line, the part about he came from a barren land, he came to this barren land from across the land, across the sea. We know there is land up here on Genopus, but there's also an ocean. And the Wisher says he came from the ocean, which means he didn't come from this country that's above Genopus, that we don't know the name of. Which I have always thought was interesting. He also says the land was barren, which means maybe no one was here, or he was only the one who founded Akatsuki, so perhaps the other two countries existed, and he only claimed this amount of land? So it is a good question, but it is notable that he didn't walk across this land and pass by the other countries. He came around, and he sailed here. And I always thought that was cool, and I never felt like anyone really thought that was cool. And I have always thought that was cool, that the Wisher comes from the ocean, from another land, maybe not even what lands above Genopus, we do not know. Anyway, he snaps his fingers, and he says he's the man to wield every wish card. But in this form, I suppose, wish 200 Piaggio was taken from him. So he's only able to use the other 199. And William screams, you think I'm afraid of you, Kai? I'll just cancel out attacks you use. And Kai smirks and says, let's begin. It immediately activates wish card 164, Spider Brand, which is the Kane's demon brand. Then wish card 97, Mystic Wisps, which is the one Toshi was searching for. And finally, wish card 32, Finger Bullets, which is what Jamiku uses. 8 more Kais appear, and they surround William as they begin fighting, throwing. And suddenly, all of them start activating. Wisher, Kai isn't done. Kai suddenly goes, wish card 68, resistance to fire. Wish card 69, resistance to all first attacks. Wish card 67, resistance to poison. So he's buffing himself up to crazy. And again, William says, so what? I can undo it all. And Kai says, bang, and shoots William in the knee. And William drops to a knee as the bullet passes through his leg, and he goes, Phew! You know what he's about to say. And Kai giggles and is like, oh, you thought you could undo all my attacks. And William's like, don't underestimate me. I am the God Hand. And William pulls out a wish card 170, full recovery. And his body glows a light green and his leg heals up immediately. And says, like I said, You are nothing, Kai. And Kai says, well, we'll see about that. Near the holy castle, Reiko, Izumi, and Kirin were running away from their pursuers. Little they know, they're heading straight towards the heart of the world's ending battle. This is pretty neat. We're going 37 years in the past to get a little story about a little someone who we've met. Actually, 2 characters we've met, but we didn't know who they really were. So now I'll talk about them. We are going to talk about a boy named Kenya. Kenya is a boy born 37 years ago. He's born in a little middle-sized town in Renois called Nephroburn. It's east of the capital, and it's a normal family he's born into, and he learned the 9 beings world. And I'm going to sit him right here, and we'll get to why he gets to go below Alka in a second. But I think you know. Actually, no, we've said his name before. Yeah, no, Kenya, this is Alka. Sorry. I forgot in the story, we've already mentioned that Alka's name is Kenya. This is Kenya. This is the body of Alka. This is his story. We're just, it's brief. It's a single chapter that says what actually Kenya was like, in case you were wondering who this great, powerful quartz was, who Alka's body was for. So this is a time when Renois and Genopus had sour relations from a previous past, and the early signs of a war across the whole world were coming. This would be the Jewel War. So the people of Kenya's town knew it was coming. One of Kenya's closest friends, let me get this out. His name is Yuko. She's a year older than him. And his best friend in the whole freaking world. Sit right there. Yuko. Known her since he was 5. She's a year older. They spent most of their time together. Growing alongside Yuko, Kenya couldn't help beginning to have feelings for her. And she was pretty with long silver hair, and she had a small nose that Kenya liked, and of course, she was the greatest friend in the freaking world. All the other kids made fun of her. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yuko is from Genopus. She came there to Genopus during a time right after the 2 of them had had sour relations. So kids make fun of Yuko because her arms are made of metal. She has metallic metal, she has robot features, just like Genopus. But Kenya, dang, Kenya thinks it's hot. Kenya's like, damn, shit. No, he likes it. He likes her not just for her skin, but her personality. He could never bring himself to tell her how he felt. He just wanted to find the right time. He didn't have confidence. At the age of 17, he had grown into a charming man, and everyone in the town, and everyone in the surrounding town says, Kenya, you're going to be the greatest quartz to ever live. You're freaking amazing. And he's a laid-back type of person, but he's also the kind of person who's there to help you when you need it. He's going to be one of the strongest quartz everyone's sure of it. At 18, we jump a year now. 18, Kenya finally finished working on his body and felt he was finally ready to form a contract. Kaido was like 16 when he made a contract. I don't think it's ever said when Dio did. I mean, I think Reiko does it at like 14? No, probably more like 13. So yeah, Kaido was doing it pretty late. But he wanted to get his body worthy. So he's really going into the whole public appearance thing. He heads out of town and goes to a temple. And he walks out of the town, and as he's walking up, Yuko runs up to him and gives him a basket full of cookies. And each of the cookies are shaped either like hearts or like one of the 9 beings. And she's like, you're going to get a contract? Didn't you say you might be able to wait until I'm ready to get one? And he's like, we don't need to wait for the same time to get contracts. But she's like, fine. Go get the greatest contract ever. Don't come back with just new, which is the 9th being the weakest. He says he won't make sure to disappoint her, and everyone already knows he's going to be the greatest quartz in the world, so he's going to get the greatest. They both laugh, and before he leaves, he says, hey, when I come back, if I bring out something that impresses you, would you please let me tell you something when I come back? And she says, yes. When he comes back, he'll tell her a secret, if he gets a good contract. And she says, of course, yes. And Yuko is noted to be feeling fuzzy as blood rushes to her face. Her heart was beating 1,000,000 miles a minute about what he might tell her. Kenya got a real huff, well, I better be off, the future waits for no one. And Yuko waves him off as he walks out of town and begins descending into the valley where the temple is. Before he can enter the temple, he spends 3 days making his little shrine. On the 3rd night, he emerges with his little mini temple and enters the shrine. Filled with confidence, he walks right up to Sanachi. We know Alka's body, Kenya, will make a contract with Sanachi, so of course he goes right up to Sanachi. Yuko said to come back with the strongest contract. Who's stronger than Sanachi? Like it or not. He declares to Sanachi that they're going to be amazing friends, like it or not. And a bright light shoots from the statue, and a bright binding light pulls Kenya in. When he wakes up again, he's in front of a constantly changing form of pure white light. Kenya's form is unable to be seen, what it is. But he took a step and greets it and said, Sanachi, my name's Kenya. You and me are going to be partners. And Sanachi laughs and is with no visible mouth and says, are you aware of how much my contract costs? What do you have to offer me? And do you have something worthy of me? And Kenya's like, yeah, I do. And Sanchi's, dang, okay, well, what is it? And Kenya throws his arms out and says, I am Kenya, and I'm going to be the greatest quartz to ever live. Therefore, I have everything. Anything you want, I could give you. And Sanchi laughs and is like, well, what do you have to prove that claim? And he says, no, I've got nothing to prove that claim. But Sanchi, you know all things. You can see the future. So look into my future, and you're going to see that I'm the greatest quartz to ever live. And Sanchi shifts to the side and begins to look into the future. As he looks indeed, he sees paths that led to greatness among other less great futures that could occur in Kenya's future. But as he looks, he reaches the Jewel War. He sees that Kenya fights in the Jewel War. He sees Kenya eventually die, and his body go through awful experiments and turn into Heptaria's greatest weapon. And so Sanchi returns to the present and goes, yeah, you don't lie. There's some greatness in your future. If I give you a contract with me, I can confirm you'll become the strongest quartz. But it comes at a price. And he says, what is the price? And he says, Sanchi says, your future. To obtain my contract, you have to let me choose which of the paths I just saw gets through your future. Are you okay with that? Are you okay that everything in your life was Sanchi approved? And he goes, yeah, whatever. He wakes up back in the temple with his contract, heads back to the town. He makes the entrance to the town and finds that Yuko is sleeping in a town center. She's probably spent all last of the 3 days just sleeping there, waiting for him to come back. And she's super excited, and she jumps into his arms and goes, Kenya, you're back. She wraps her arms around him tightly as they jump up and down with excitement. Kenya smiles because he feels really cared about, and he really hopes this is a good sign for what's about to happen. Most of the town adore him, but their love for him is nothing if Yuko likes him. He planned to tell Yuko everything about how he felt. It was finally time. He opens his mouth to spill out all his emotions of things he might never be able to say again, and he's worried that if she rejects his feeling, he'll never be a man again. He lets go of her, both of them back up for each other. She had a warm smile on her face, and he says, now that I'm back, I want to tell you something you remember. And immediately, Yuko's face is bright red. She's super excited. She's like, yeah, I remember saying if you got the coolest contract, you could tell me a secret. So what contract did you get? And he's like, Sanchi. She steps back. Sanchi the first being? He's like, yeah. She's like, wait, you're pretty calm about that, huh? And he's like, well, I was freaking out earlier, but right now I'm more excited about something else. And that's about what I'm going to tell you. And she's like, dang, well, it costs you something valuable, right? And he's like, let's get to it. I'm fine right now. Don't worry your cute little head. And she's like, cute. He called me cute. Anyway, you can start to blush at the word cute and brushes off and says, whatever, dork. Sounds like you're a man of your word at least. You truly are going to be the greatest quartz in history. And he's like, yeah, as a man of my word, I have to tell you, I love you, Yuko. He blurts out the words without a second thought. And he says, you know, he doubles down. He's like, I've loved you for a long time, Yuko. As the strongest quartz, I can only hope I'm good enough for you. If you give me a chance, I promise I'll never let the fun in our lives ever die. And she goes, tell me, Kenya, are you asking me if I will go out with you? And Kenya's like, yeah. I'd like you to be my girlfriend. And she goes, no. And his heart breaks into a million pieces. And he's like, dang, this is what heartbreak feels like. And she spins around and sticks her tongue out and grabs him by the collar and pulls him in and goes, I like you, Kenya. Just marry me, okay? And Kenya's face goes bright red. And he's like, did we just skip the dating part? This is all happening so quickly in marriage. He just worked up the courage to ask her out on a date, and now they're getting married. But of course, it's like, yeah. And they embrace themselves, and they kiss, and then they pull away, and he goes, this is a dream. And she says, if it's a dream, I hope it lasts forever. And they continue to kiss. The two of them tell the whole town about their marriage and about Sanchi, and it's a huge party, and people from all around celebrate. A year later, the Jewel War breaks out, and Kenya goes off to defend the line. And 1 year after the 1 year before that Jewel War ends, the King of Akazusha unleashes his secret ability, and that's the parade. And Kenya would come to Foss with Heptarian forces. This would be when Gento meets Kenya and kills him in battle. Yuko is not aware that he's died and will not know for a little bit. After the battle, Gento scoops up the body of the great quartz Kenya and takes him away. And Yuko would begin to spiral into a downward spiral after learning of her husband's death. In a rage, she returns to her home country of Genopus, hoping to get powerful enough to one day avenge her loved one. And during that time, she is tricked by a woman. And we're going back to this board. During that time, she would be tricked by a woman named Chloe and sold into slavery. But slavery to Chloe. And Chloe did indeed give her what she really came for. I mean, Chloe's a powerful woman. We can remember Chloe as she's the partner of Xena and Tracy. Chloe's the one who likes maids. And it is where they reveal that we've known Yuko before. Yuko is the Iron Maiden. It is the maiden with aluminum wings, who is the strongest of the maids, and the strongest of Chloe's maids, and probably the strongest slave the three of them have. After the death of Kenya, she got cold-hearted and slowly has turned into just the Iron Maiden. She's unaware fully what has even happened to Kenya's corpse. She's lost a lot. It's a lot. And really what she's more angry about is she's actually against Renois. That is who she hates. Because every single little detail was seen by Sanchi. Sanchi knew that day when they made a contract that this was going to happen to Kenya, and he didn't warn Kenya. All of this happened. This future that came to be is Sanchi's choice. Part of the contract was Sanchi gets to decide what happens to Kenya and which future he holds. So that means Sanchi chose the future where Kenya turns into Alka for his own amusement. And little does she know, this is not the future that Sanchi is leading them towards. He's looking all the way to the future. And there are events that he set out that Kenya as Alka is not completed. There are still things to come. The things that Alka's existence brought into this world, and it is the events of the Composer of Man, or what Sanchi foresaw that he wants to happen. And we will get to that. Meanwhile, Reiko, Izumi, and Kirin have fled the house and are hiding as Akane 6 continues to chase with their students. Suddenly, someone charges out ahead of everyone else. Red-headed girl, and Kaido feels like he might know her. She has a strong look on her face. And Kaido, through Reiko's eyes, thinks he recognizes her. Says, Reiko, can we stop? I think we can talk our way out of this one. And Reiko's like, huh? We've been running for a while, but tells the others Kaido wants us to stop. I'm switching with him. He might be able to get us out of here. So Reiko stops and turns around with Kaido in the driver's seat, and he says, Alice, is that you? And the girl stops as well with a large face and goes, hey, Kaido, didn't think you'd recognize me. And he goes, yeah, well, you've grown. He means grown as in she's no longer a Barbie doll, she's a full-grown person. For some reason, during this time, Alice has released the Wonderland effect off of Red Alice, and Red Alice is now a human-sized girl. So that's nice for her. He says, yeah, you've changed a lot, but Kaido, you've changed even more than I have, because you're a girl now. And Kaido says, yeah, there's something like that. I mean, I'm not really a girl, but that's not important. Alice, why are you attacking us? And Alice is like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we're attacking you. Anne seemed to want to do it, but then again, maybe it was Akane ordered us to do it? Or was it Jemiko who suggested we fight you? She's not sure. But says, hey, if we just wait, like sit down for a second, catch your breath, the others will catch it up in a second, they'll tell us what's going on. I'm kind of like, yeah, sounds good. Izumi does not like that. Izumi thought they should keep running. Kaido's like, yeah, forget about it. We know him. What do we have to lose? And Izumi's like, what do we have to lose? Our lives. The other assailants catch up, and Akane 6 is there, and Reiko steps out and says, hey, Akane, and long time no see, how you been? Anne's like, oh my gosh, it's really you, Kaido. This is really cool. And she's like, gosh dang, how long has it been? 10? And he's like, yeah, it's been about 11 years. And Anne's like, dang. And Kaido speaks up. He's like, this is time, he's a new person. Since reborn in Reiko, he's done a lot of reflection of the things he wanted to say to people. So he's ready to tell Anne what he wanted to say. He says, Anne, I'm really sorry I never showed up when we said, let's meet up in 1 year, and I didn't show up to that spot. And Anne just starts laughing with Alice and says, look, it's fine. I didn't show up either. And he's like, oh. And so then the conversation shifts to Mavis. And she goes, where's Mavis? And Kaido says, about 3 years after we split up, we got separated. But don't worry, I saw her yesterday when she was Xena, and she actually looked pretty good. And she doesn't go into the details of all the things that Mavis has done, but yeah, she's doing good. And then they ask, so why are you chasing us? And Anne says, see, me and the other students of Demon Brand were here with the Demon Brand. He asked, why are you there with us, with the people chasing us? And Anne explains she's a student of the Demon Brand school. And he's like, dang, how'd you join the Demon Brand? And Anne's like, yeah, it's a long story. Basically, Alice and me just spent a lot of time, and we became fans of a Demon Brand member. And Kaido's like, who's that one? He's like, oh, it's Saraki. He's like, oh, I've never met that one. Who's his partner? Fidelga? I'm like, yeah, it's Fidelga. It's really small talk. It's not important. Kaido explains how he got inside Reiko door. And it says that he doesn't want to waste this meeting with Akane. And he wishes all the Akanes were around, but just Akane 05 is enough for what he needs to say. And he says, you know what, Akane, I'm sorry. 10 years ago, you tried to explain to me why you did what you did, and I shut you out and made you the bad guy. I didn't want to accept that maybe you had done something right. I didn't want to accept that wish cards were evil, and I'm really sorry. I can now understand they were probably stolen. He then says that the other thing, our parents are dead, and I still blame you for that. But you know what? Since dying and going inside Reiko, I don't actually hold any grudges anymore. I don't hate anyone anymore, really. And then he explains all the people. He's like, look, I'm not Kaido the boy who was trying to be Wish King anymore. I am now Kaido the guardian spirit of young Reiko, meaning me and Kaido should not be seen as the same person. The Kaido of before and the Kaido now are not the same person. He holds no hatred. I'll get into the hatred now. He says, well, he hated Murana because he killed Lucas and stole his body. But Murana's dead. Vesper and Hesper, he hated them because they sold Mavis into slavery. But Mavis is doing pretty good, so he doesn't really hate him neither. And and then Anna also mentions, hey, Venus, there's no reason to fight unless you have a reason. So if you want to fight me, Kane, that's one thing, but I don't have a reason to fight you. And she's like, actually, no. Terra said to kill Elena Piacios, and that's the only person we're supposed to kill. All three of you girls are Renoans, so you're good, we don't need to fight. And Junko's like, come on, man, I wanted to fight. But he doesn't fight because suddenly Alice, he doesn't say anything about how he wants to fight because Alice's face drops. And everyone jumps to Alice's side. It's like, are you okay? And Alice informs them that Ricky's dead. Ricky's dead. And Master Ricky, he's deadzo. And they're like, well, who killed him? Genta. And how they do? Like, is Genta coming? And they're like, no, don't worry, they won. And it kind of drops to the ground, on her knees, give out, and they're like, dang, they won? What was the point in winning if you're going to die? She's pretty upset with that. So as far as the Red Dogs are aware, they won that fight. So another point towards maybe Genta's dead. That's good, right? Maybe. We still don't have a confirmation of a body, so we can't say Genta's dead. Genta's definitely missing limbs, but he might be down there somewhere. Kaido is kind of worried. He's like, hey, Alice, are you going to disappear? When my wish card creator died, I disappeared, I died. And she's like, yeah, no, that's not how it works. Our wish cards are different. Murana's Demon Brand is an effect type. It's an ability, while the one that creates Red Dogs is a creation type. They're different. Creations stay in this world. Abilities do not. The ability to move a soul has to be able to be undone. Just creating a Red Dog doesn't. So all the Red Dogs are fine. Akane, 06, 05, gets back on her feet and rallies her students, and she's like, guys, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Let's do this, guys. We're gonna head into this holy castle, and we're taking this land tonight in Ricky and Toshi's honor, if they're not dead. If they're alive. I mean, not if they're not dead, because they don't know if Toshi's dead, because all they can know is Ricky's dead. There's a slight cheer from the students, who are all still a little shaken from the news of Ricky's death. Anna and Alice wave as they run along with the others and say if they were them, they'd get out of here. And Izui's like, okay, yeah, we should get out of here, yeah? And Reiko, switching back with Kaido, so now it's Reiko talking, says, yeah, I think we should stay. I think it's our duty as good people to kind of do, we were raised as shrine maidens to help people. This is our chance to help people. We should do it. This is a big part of history. And Izui hates it, but Kieran's into fighting, so let's do it. Inside the building, Carta is still hunting Cordelka, but the main stage is continuing the clash between the God Hand William and Kai. Their fight has gone on for almost an hour at this point, and it's an elegant fight between two masters. A fight that millions would pay to see, and the only eyes on it right now are Lord Terra and an Akane who's walked in. This is pretty cool. We get to talk about Kai. In this fight, Terra makes some pretty cool dialogue, just as an author's note. Pretty cool dialogue about talking about what is so special about Kai. She says, Kai the Wisher had fought in a way Terra never thought was possible. Compared to William's animal-like fighting of trying to survive, Kai had a fighting style more akin to a dancer dancing across a fancy stage. His face was a constant smile, like someone who truly was happy to be there at every moment. The stories of the Wisher always said that he was rewarded by God for being a good person, for all the joy he brought to this world. Terra always imagined it was for good deeds, but perhaps watching him now, she finally understood that it wasn't good deeds that Kai had done. It was more that every movement, every part of him, his eyes, his style, it all radiated pure beauty. He was a man whose beauty was so great that even God himself could not take his eyes off him. That surely maybe the reason God rewards Kai is for good deeds, for being a good person. It is just that Kai is probably the hottest man to ever exist. He radiates beauty so much that anyone who sees him can't help but want to love him. How could William possibly have defeated him in the past? How could someone choose to hurt a flower as memorizing as him? When faced with something of such beauty, a beauty any human will admit they could never reach, who would choose to desire to destroy it rather than turn to praise it? As time passed, she couldn't help to feel deep inside as she keeps watching this fight and gets uncomfortable with the fact that Kai really does only smile. He does not break a smile, and it's a creepy smile. It is a smile of not someone who's fighting, but someone who's having fun. She thinks he should take this fight more seriously. Tara notices the Akane next to her is getting really into this fight. This is one of the Akanes that survived the fight with Alka. They both sat on the sideline and watched with eyes in their stars in their eyes as they watch. There's nothing they could do really besides watch. As they sat and they watched Kai and William's fight continue to be amazing. And Kai suddenly, out of nowhere, calls out to Tara and says, "Hey Tara, I'm growing tired of this solo performance. Would you perhaps grant me my partner? I assure you that will spice the battle up." And Tara's like, "Hold up, in the legends, no one ever talked about you having a partner." And he goes, "Yeah, my partner, Clara." Who's Clara? He says, "Yeah, Tara's freaked out. That name is one she knows." And he says, "Yeah, Clara, my dear sweet Clara. She's the one and only, the first demon brand, and the only girl I've ever really loved." And Tara's like, "Oh, is that so? I've actually heard that name before. Would she have something to do with Wish Card 1? And Kai laughs and laughs as he keeps changing strikes with William. And goes, "So the curse of Clara still lives on, huh? That silly girl." And he did a cartwheel as he continues to fight William. And says, "Yeah, Clara and I had a bit of a fight. She was upset, and I was rude, and I made a new wish card, and that was Wish Card 1. I made Wish Card 1 when summons her." And William interjects into this as he's still fighting and goes, "Yeah, Wish Card 1 curses the person it summons into taking on the characteristics of the Wish's perfect friend, his dear Clara. The real Clara was so disgusted that she killed herself when she saw this wish card." And Tara and the Akane look to see how Kai will react to that. And Kai just kind of shrugs and says, "So yeah, she did that. Quite a drama queen she was. She edited the wish card a little with what she had left before she killed herself to make it so that any Clara who's summoned by the wish card would have a hatred towards the wish cards and want to kill me. And that was her last thing she did when she was alive." And Tara's like, "Hey, I've actually experienced Wish Card 1. And he's like, "Yeah, it's pretty nasty, right?" She says, "Yeah, if you were aware of it, why didn't you change it?" And Kai just, rolls his beautiful eyes and says he just didn't. He liked seeing Clara and those girls. He enjoyed using that wish card to turn random Akazushimian women into Clara. He liked it. That's just it. He didn't change it, he liked it. And Clara's like, "What could you even do if I summoned her? It'd waste more of my life. Could you really be that strong when you're literally the man that God loves?" And also then they get into, well, I'm sorry, I messed up that line a lot. It isn't what could she do, it was what could you have done to make the man who even God loves, to make a woman so angry she killed herself. And he says, "We disagreed on how to raise our children." And Tara's like, "You're a father?" And he's like, "Yeah, everyone's my children in one way or another." And she's like, "Well, what does that mean?" And he says, "Okay, so you probably would rather not know this, but it's not important, but what you need to know is the important thing is I believe my children should grow up in a safe place, unaware of the evils of the world. Although looking at today, it seems like it didn't work." She's like, "So what?" Clara's like, "So you want them to know I'm sorry, Clara didn't want them to know. She wanted them to know the evils of the world. She wanted them to know. That's what Tara wants to know." And he's like, "Yeah, there's a lot of things the four lands didn't know. And these things are things the Wisher wanted them not to know. But Clara wanted them to know. And he did not like that. He did not like that at all." I know they're talking about, of course, the evils of the world. They're talking about the outside world. He wanted to make his own little world. A world that's kind of, it's kind of wrong. Why is Kai going to keep them unaware of their outside world? And he also says that the Genopans are descendants of Clara as well. Clara gave them info, the info that started their country. It started by info of the outside world that Clara allowed them to have. And back in the present-day fight, William's getting tired. This fight is taking a toll on his body, but it's not taking a toll on Kai. And Kai says again, "I'm getting tired of this game, William." Then turns to Tara and is like, "Well, would you please just give me a few years to summon Clara?" And Tara's like, "Yeah, no, you don't. You're not doing that. You've already taken a lot of my years left of my life. What I've got left, I'm using to spend time with my son. Her son is Yoshida." And, this guy's kind of sorry. He's like, "Oh, you're a mother? You don't look like it." And she's like, "Yeah, he's adopted." And he's like, "Aren't you a kind soul? Thank you for giving a home to one of my homeless children." And she's like, "Don't mention it." Stop calling everyone your children. It's weird. And he says, you only say that because you don't know how big of a role I've had and played in this world. And I need you to know, I assure you, my declaration that I am all of your fathers is a big deal. If it is true, it is right, you just don't know it. And Kai begins to get bored, and he shoots another finger bullet into William, and into William's chest. William collapses on the ground as Kai continues to shoot bullets. It's about to be over. William is about to have lost. He's lost the strength to fight. Kai is standing over him shooting, when all of a sudden the doors of the battleground come bursting in. Heavy fog creeps through the door frame and covers the surrounding area. Tara watches the two bright lights pierce through the fog, like glowing eyes of a large monster. As the fog drops, it can be seen that it is Saraki. Saraki's appeared with flashlights on her head. The lights were not her eyes glaring. She's not that cool. She's just trying to make it look cool, and the smoke is coming from her mouth. And she sees William and is like, oh my gosh, it's William. I was here to kill you. That's so great. And then she sees Kai and is like, I don't think we've met. And he's like, hey, I am the Wisher. And she goes, oh, Kai, the Wisher, I presume. Kuduk's told me your name before. You must be Tara's work. And he's like, yep, you got the right idea. And Kai is interested in Saraki. And he says, I've got a fun idea. And he suddenly has wish cards appear in front of him. And he activates wish card 33, which is life stats. Wish card 99, binding hex. And wish card 179, illusionist eyes. And he says, my dear daughter, allow me to judge you. He points his glowing pink right eye with wish card 99 active. It's a little party trick that allows you to see the stats of how many people you've changed their lives, people who've made happy, the amount of people you've killed, the age in days, how many times you felt sad. And he wants to look at Saraki. And he looks at Saraki, and his face looks dissolute, a little. And Saraki's like, well, what do you see? And he's like, dang, you killed quite a lot of people for your age. And she says, yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. And then he uses illusionist eyes and allows him to make it allows him to make illusions in people's heads. And he uses binding hex, and he tries to lock everyone in. This attack is turned not on Saraki, but on the Akane that's watching, and Tara and William. They're all binded. And they can't move. And he ignores them like a child who throws a toy down. And Tara's like, Kai, this isn't part of the deal. I summoned you so you would kill William. And he's like, you stupid girl. I'm summoned, and I disappear the second I kill William. So until William's dead, I can't disappear. But that also means I can do whatever I want in this world until William's dead. So I'm just going to kill him later, and I'm going to fight other people. I want to test out Saraki's powers, and I want to see how strong she is. So for now, Kai is in charge of the world, and Tara worries that right now, he's in charge of not just this room, not just this castle, perhaps the entire world is currently in Kai's hand, unless someone does something. And Tara is just trapped next to this Akane, and Akane lays out what we got. Our chances are Saraki kills him, and we are released. Kai kills Saraki, and we have one less problem to deal with, and we don't have to fight Saraki later. Someone shows up and kills William, we don't have to deal with Kai anymore. So they'll just have to wait and see which of those happens. They're hoping William dies, but also it'd be cool if, Saraki dies. So we'll have to see. In a split second, Saraki has jumped in front of Kai. Opening her mouth, she releases a heavy black smoke into his face. Now behind him, she shoots out of her mouth a beam that goes straight through Kai. But Kai laughs. It was an illusion. Saraki's been tricked. And she's annoyed. And he goes, sorry, kid. He kicks her across the room and just easily bangs her into the wall and leaves her dead. And says he's sorry that she had a cool trick. He thought it was cool, but it's not strong enough to beat him. She starts shooting rubber bullets out of her mouth, bouncing off the walls, listening for the sound of where he really is, because you can't see him. Suddenly from behind her, she hears someone standing there. She looks behind her and goes, shoot. And Kai laughs and goes, no, bang, and shoots her in the leg. It shoots through her right leg, and she drops to her knee. She quickly drops to the ground and rolls in order to face towards Kai. Once she can see him, she shoots poison needles towards Kai. He doesn't move. 49 needles pierce into him, and he says, yo, I got poison resistance, but that was a cool move. Good job, keep it up, Saraki. He's like a soccer dad. The battle has just only gotten started. Outside the battle, in the background, Akane 6 and her students enter the Holy Castle. A bit behind them, Reiko, Izui, and Kirin have entered the Holy Castle. That is the end of the Holy Castle arc. That's right, we leave on a cliffhanger about right now in this world. Saraki is fighting Kai, and boy, that fight continues into the Composer of Man. We also have somewhere in this castle, Karna, high on jewels, / using jewels, is hunting Cordelica. The Akanes are just entering in. Right now, all we've got is one no-name left. Hesper's somewhere in here. He's with Akane 5, right? Because he's with the students. Junko's there. Genta might be dead. Nermosa still sleeping soundly. She's doing good. And yeah, the world's falling apart. Yeah. Dio and Ruby, no idea. Juniper and Neo, probably still in Genopus. So next time, we will finish with the final arc, chapters 62 through 68. Oh my gosh, it's only 7 chapters. 7 chapters to finish the story. How is it gonna end? And what is the composer of man? Join me next time to find out.